God, our divine spirit, our creator of all there is and ever shall be. At this time of Thanksgiving, we want to thank you, our God, for our wonderful city, all the workers, all the residents. We ask you to please give us special blessings for our city and our country, and we pray for peace on earth. We thank thee. Amen.
Wait, there it is.
Oh, there it is. They know.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call quickly. Everything's quickly today because Councilman Dittmer is in a little bit of pain.
Mayor Dale Massett.
Here.
Vice Mayor Terrence Rowe.
Here?
Councilwoman Jenny Sorrell.
Here.
Councilman William Dittmer.
Here.
Councilman Richard Bloom.
Here.
City Manager Vincent Lupo.
Here.
City Attorney James Matthew.
Here.
Oh, cool. We are at approval of council minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the council.
Second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Comments from the general public, please make them quick and sweet. Leonard Lord.
Evening, everybody. Trust you had a good Thanksgiving. I pastored 8114 Lee O'Kidd Avenue. A couple of things coming up that I'd like to invite you to. Our Cure Fest is Saturday. We'll be meeting at the Axe Resource Center. We do have some projects in Port Richey, New Port Richey around, and so you want to come join us. It's a good time just to get out and work together in the community. It's been good when the council people have come out with us. So we'll be meeting at 8:30 and getting together and going out and serving the community from there. So you're all invited to come and fellowship with us, and if you need some help, come and let us help. Also, I want to invite y'all to our Port Richey Community Fellowship Christmas dinner. Be good to have all of you, give you time to greet the people and say what you'd like us to do for Port Richey, and that's going to be December 12th at 6 o'clock. That's a Wednesday evening. I know the 14th will be in the park with the movie and the children, so this is a Wednesday night on the 12th and then the 14th, and it's just the invitation, sharing the love of Christ. You're warmly invited to join us Wednesday, December 12th, 2018, 6 to 8 o'clock. Enjoy great food and new friends. 8114 Lee O'Kidd Avenue. So I have some invitation. Mayor, it'd be good to have you and let you greet the people and say a word if you wanted to.
Appreciate it.
And Lord bless you. Okay?
God bless
All
you.
invited. Thank you.
Okay, I have Thomas Brown. Sal, are we out of order? Is that out of order?
No.
Okay.
My apologies.
Thomas Brown, 7436 Candlelight Court. Getting back to the playground and its improvements at Waterfront Park, we can easily use $200,000 of community redevelopment funds to create a park that the residents will be proud of. We need nice modern restrooms and a covered stage with a movie screen. The only problem is that the state provides CRA funds to eliminate blight and slums. The park is in a blighted area of the city, and we could claim the park is in poor, blighted condition. I don't think you can legally use CRA funds to build seating at the park for the residents. There must be a way we could circumvent that problem. In the proposed 2018-19 CRA budget, we expect revenue of $1,790,000. If we use $300,000 of blight and slum elimination money for dredging, and more than $227,000 of blight and slum elimination money for city employee salaries and wages, we would still have more than $1 million in the CRA budget. 300,000 of that million, if used for community park redevelopment, would do more for the city and its residents than $3,000 worth of dredging. Thank you.
Lori?
Lori Simpson, 50006 Sunset Boulevard. I came to just give you updates on the CAC committee. I did give you a little information on this handout, but there's a couple things we'd like to work on. One of them is a Founders Day Festival. Our goal would be to bring the community together and show that we can have events that promote the city in a favorable light. No one on the committee would be benefiting financially, and there's no hidden agenda here. We're just looking to do something nice for the city, to do maybe like a 1920s theme and have a car show. And we had a lot of different ideas, and there's a lot of people on the committee and a group of people who are professional event planners who are willing to help put this together. We don't intend to make it a burden on the city, but we do need your help to get the approval of the date and the planned activities. One would be to sell beer, because that tends to be it tends to bring a little bit more people out, but it's going to be a family-friendly and pet-friendly event, and it would be to benefit the SPCA. The other thing that we're working on is we wanted to put together some mini free libraries, and on the back of this page there's a sample of what that would be like. It's these little mini libraries, and if we could get like 5 of those for the city. I have some people that would be willing to put them together and construct them and paint them. We thought that as designed for a city that would be nice, would be something to model after the historic stilt homes. But I would need a little bit of help to get the dimensions for that to keep with the theme of the design. And I was hoping I could get with Mr. Muse about that, because I understand he has an architectural background. And once I got the dimensions, I have retired contractors and just retired people that like to do crafts or whatever that would be willing to build these things, and we might need the city's help installing them. But we thought of 5 would be a good idea, to have one in the Winslow Park, one in the Waterfront Park, one near City Hall, one near Candlelight, and one on Pier Road, maybe near the fishing pier. It would kind of give everybody access. And this would be something where you go to this little tiny box, it's kind of like a little mailbox, and you put a book, you take a book, and I have tons of people who are willing to donate books. And I think that I can get people to donate money for the supplies, because I was thinking I could give them a little bronze plaque on the back saying, donated by such and such family. It's a nice little, I would do it for myself, my own family, and I know my in-laws would do it. Dale said he might donate, so.
I'll donate.
So, just something to think about. The CAC wants to be helpful to the council. We don't want to be a pain. We're here to help you and work at your will. And so anything that you would like us to work on, projects for the city to help make it better, we're willing to take that on.
Okay, but I asked why the SPCA we're donating to?
That was just a benefit that the committee chose.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, I'd like to thank the committee for its work. It's, you have an awful lot of items you submitted to us by virtue of your email. Mm-hmm. There are 2 separate items here. We most certainly will start to do some of the research and to assist you on the very first topic, which is a major endeavor. Mm-hmm. With respect to the libraries and the books, we'll get with Mr. Muse. We'll put something together, we'll get through the committee, and then we'll bring it back to council for council's actions. So we'll be moving forward on all of your issues. Mm-hmm. And we'll begin to get with both the FCT to work out some of the issues that you raised with respect to alcohol and some of the others. So we will move forward on those. Okay.
Will you get us a chart, like who buys the beer, who sells the beer, who gets the money?
We'll work on all of that, Mayor. Just we have to make sure, first of all, they can.
Okay. All right.
Anybody have any questions for me? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Blaine Lee.
Blaine Lee, 5713 Berlin. I just wanted to know if we'd heard anything from the FCT about the location of the new location for the playground, and if anything has been decided on how you're going to handle the wheelchair swing.
There are two different issues. One, we have not submitted anything to FCT yet until after this meeting, because it resolves a second issue. And once we submit our information to both the FCT and FERDAP, then we'll get back with council. With respect to the other issues, we'll continue down that path to try and resolve them.
Thank you.
City manager, you're good?
Yes, I'm sorry. In an effort to keep this meeting as short as possible, I would like to just make one announcement, and I think it's extremely important. Our discussions with the county for Orange Grove have been extremely advantageous to the city and to the county. And we expect that their operation will be approved by the county commission on their meeting of December the 11th. And we'll be moving forward once that is completed with an interlocal agreement between our city and the county to undertake the necessary functions to begin the construction of Orange Grove, reconstruction of Orange Grove. So it's something that this council has worked extremely hard, and the administration has worked extremely hard to achieve, and we're finally there. We expect no problems with respect to the county commission. We've spoken with the county administrator. We feel that this will eventually go through. So I wanted our residents of Candlelight Court to understand we're finally getting there, and it's almost there. And I wanted to personally thank this council, the mayor and the vice mayor and council, for their efforts to achieve that goal.
Mr. Lupo, who did you talk to at the county about this, getting this introduced at their meeting on December 11th?
I talked to Mr. Ted Bowers, their real estate person who has been spearheading this through Mr. Dan Biles' office.
Okay. I might ask you to reconnect with him.
Sure.
I went up to the agenda coordinator's office today, and it is not on the agenda for the 11th.
I'll get with him the first thing in the morning, sir.
So I kind of was taken back by that, but
So
the
I am
sooner they do
obviously.
that, because the agendas fill up quick, and then they can't get them on.
I will be with him first thing in the morning, sir.
Thank you.
Right.
That's it, sir.
Bring it to the council. Any comments, thoughts?
Well, I've got a couple of, I was concerned about the Orange Grove situation. And Pine Hill sounds good, that's moving forward as well.
Yes, it is.
But I'm quite upset about the hike and bike trail at this point. A lot of work was done along there. They put the grass back, but it was really a shoddy job. It's not, the grass is not level. It has never been watered that I can see. The holes in the hike and bike trail have not been filled. There has been no work done on the hike and bike trail for over a week. The dirt is left in the hike and bike trail. The holes are still there. No, I don't know when they're going to fix that, but I would like to, we had a very nice working hike and bike trail up till this point, and
What areas are you talking?
all along
All along Old Post, from Bay all the way down to Brasher Park. We have been assured, and we are working with the contractor. We are absolutely assured that that hike and bike trail will be brought back up to not only its original condition, but improved. And they understand very clearly that they cannot move forward until that is done. So that's a very clear understanding we've had with the developers and with the people who are doing the sub work for the developers. That bike and hike trail will be brought back up, improved beyond what it was when they started doing the work. That's an absolute physical commitment.
I'm just wondering when. they're going to put it back together because we got people running in the street now.
Unfortunately, that's a function of when they complete that line, and that line has to be up and tested. I can't give you the exact time. Mr. Hughes has been sick today, but he has that number, and I'll email it to you tomorrow.
Yeah. And my thanks to Bill and his family for all the lovely decorations. He, again, did a great job.
Okay,
I have a couple comments if
okay.
nobody else has any. I've had the administration hand out to everybody section 6128, commercial business, institutional and industrial structures. These are minimum standards for commercial businesses, industrial structures that are utilized by the city of Newport Richey. I just wanted to bring copies to each council member to look at, and perhaps we can discuss this at the next meeting. That's the number.
Do you want this agenda,
What's that?
agenda at the next meeting?
Yeah, we can put it on the agenda. Give everybody a couple weeks to digest it. Yeah, thanks for that. And then we can discuss it up at the next meeting. The other thing is I would ask Mr. Lupo, on the code compliance reports that you put together,
Yes, sir.
and they're appreciated. Could you, it would help significantly if for all those issues that are listed on here, could you see to it, just so we know the dates when things occur, so we have an idea, it's that for that
Certainly.
particular month?
Certainly.
And I had more, but we can wait on that. Well, I'm sure we'll appreciate that.
Mayor, quick question. Did you say this belonged to Newport Richey?
Yes.
This is theirs, it isn't ours?
No, it's theirs. Yeah. It was actually provided to us by Liz when she was here.
Code enforcement, okay.
Code enforcement, yeah.
Any other things? Jen? Anything else? All right, let's move along then.
Consent agenda.
On that, I'm trying to figure out what let me have a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion second. Do we want to play the employees this month? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, council business. Is there anything we can? Let's just go with it. Will, raise your hand when you're getting.
I'm all right. Thanks, Dale.
Okay. Consideration of interlocal agreement with Pasco County for disaster response and recovery-related service.
For city council consideration is interlocal agreement between Pasco County for the mutual aid during disasters. Excuse me. Action, motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Pasco County for disaster response and recovery-related services.
A motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Pasco County for disaster response and recovery-related services.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any thoughts, questions?
I have a question.
Please.
On number 5 in here, it says the county will reimburse the city, and we're supposed to reimburse the county too for this sort of thing. Was that in our previous agreement?
You're asking me, I don't think there is a previous agreement.
There isn't? This is brand new?
This is brand new to my understanding.
Yes, it is.
What would have happened in the past, Jim?
They would still come to our aid. We just haven't had a formal agreement. We have a separate one with the police department and the sheriff's department. But this is an interlocal agreement that formalizes it.
I can probably explain a few things if you, it's the first you're seeing it, I guess. First of all, the underlined sections were there. That's just was left there. They have no significance for the document. Okay, the one you'll sign tonight won't have those underlines. This was the county's request for this. I believe, and I'm speculating now, that the county, this is for when there's an emergency. My input on this was, I wanted to know what an emergency was, so that, you know, the state, the governor declares an emergency, the President of the United States declares an emergency here, but this also includes an emergency declared by the county, okay? And we have one of the, that's part of our code too. And basically what the county's doing it from is when there's a hurricane comes through, the county spends a lot of money and then tries to bill FEMA, okay, for emergency funds, all right? And we tried doing that, and it's, Vince, you could probably explain it better. We've never gotten a nickel, okay?
Correct.
And we've spent hours and hours and hours of doing it. They want to bill for us, okay, is pretty much what they want to do. So, in other words, they kind of want to join up with us and have this interlocal agreement that when they have this, that we could, you know, we could say to them, hey, come on in, instead of our truck doing it, you come on and do it, and you can bill it and get the money, because they know how to bill it, I guess is the bottom line. That's the intent behind it, I speculate. Okay, but the bottom line is what you're agreeing here is pretty much to nothing legally, because if there's an emergency declared by the governor, the President of the United States, or even the county, and they need some of our equipment, okay, they would come to us and say, we'd like to use your vac machine. Is that what's called, vac machine, right? I can't give you a better example than that. But that's probably the first thing they'd ask for, okay? Now,
$90,000 show.
we'd only have to give it to them if we didn't need it.
Correct.
So it's totally within Mr. Lupo's discretion. I can't think of any disaster that would be so big that they would be having the disaster, not us, but it's possible, okay? So we decide whether we want to. They then would bill for that any place they can and give us the money, okay? And vice versa. So if we had some emergency here, like a major fire burning 20 buildings or something, you know, we could ask for some of their equipment and the reverse would happen. This says nothing more or less than that. That's what's
I
going
think
on
that
here. I
part
don't know if
of-
that helps any in the decision.
Well, part of the impetus, I can tell you, is when we had the emergency and we got Quist on both sides of the roads opened up from the county, and they said, we're gonna have to bill you, and of course, why not? But I think they wanted to formalize it, and we got a lot out of it, because that drain system works now.
That is not what transpired. That wouldn't be covered by this, that scenario.
If we had used them to open it?
I'm saying this would be that we would be using their equipment to do it, and then we would get the bill. There, they use their equipment, I believe, right?
Correct.
They use
They use their equipment.
the county's,
The county used the county's equipment.
so.
Right. So
they're
the county would have billed
formalizing.
for their own equipment there. Here it's an exchange.
Here's if we borrowed their equipment.
Right.
Oh, okay, they did the whole job.
They did it.
Either way, they wanted to formalize the way to get their money back?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Jim, do you see a downside to this at all?
The only downside, these underlined sections are from the other attorneys for the other cities came in, we all put something in, and that was pretty much things we negotiated out. The only downside, first of all, since whether we want to give them any of our equipment is totally within Mr. Lupo's response. I try to think of some downside to it. I can't think of any really, you know, in some way I tried to. My biggest concern was a local emergency. When it comes to the governor's emergency or something like a hurricane or something like that, we'd be giving them our equipment anyway. They're just gonna bill for it and give us the money, which kind of is better for us. They're geared up for that. I was more concerned about a local emergency. That would be my only, and that's stretching it, what my downside could be. So in other words, we have no control of what they consider to be an emergency. You understand what I mean? And vice versa. Mr. Lupo and this council could declare an emergency. But we can always just say no. You understand what I mean? So,
we have the right to say, no, you can't have the
Yeah,
equipment.
that's
Correct.
right.
It's kind of a
Correct.
moot point regardless.
Yeah, it kind of is, within the sole discretion. It says here, under its control, where available is determined by the city manager, right?
I don't even want to elongate the subject, but if somebody tears up equipment, we have to worry about that.
No, no.
We have a motion and a second. Any other thoughts? I hope nobody wants to speak in the public. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, Chesco Steering Committee, request.
Hello, Patty Dermer, 8625 Sea Point Court. I wanted to thank you all for your time and consideration this evening, and I'll be as quick as possible so Mr. Dittmer can get home. But I'm with the Chasco Fiesta Steering Committee. I'm in charge of sponsorships. I just joined the steering committee back during the summer. Also is Chuck Gray and Al Renato. Al does logistics, and Chuck has pretty much been in charge of the Chasco since 1994. So I live in this city now for 4 years, and I thought, what a great way we could join our two cities together. What I'm asking from the council tonight is possibly the city of Port Richey being the boat parade sponsor, because the boat parade starts off in the city of Port Richey. And the majority of the parade route for the boat parade is on the shores of the city of Port Richey, which is on the beautiful Pythla-Chascody River. So I thought it would be a great thing. We could also incorporate Waterfront Park to try to get it like something from the Chasco going on there, get some local bands playing while the boat parade's going on, while everybody's lining up. Back off the lady that spoke before from the what is it, the CCA committee. It'd be a great way where we could help you guys get some events going on in the city, because we have a lot of experience doing that, putting the concerts on. Logistically, the parade, we draw roughly 125,000 people on the day of the street parade, and the boat parade draws 30 to 40,000 people on the parade day, and that's mostly they're in this parking along the streets of this city. So again, it would be great to join the two cities. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the Chasco Fiesta is a nonprofit organization, and we benefit 25 plus local nonprofits. So all the money raised over the 9 days of the event stay in the local community, Boys and Girls Club, the Lighthouse for the Blind, the Sertoma, some different churches, and anybody else who wants to join up and get down there in the park that is a nonprofit or is a vendor. We do offer vendor booths and things like that also. But it's just a great way to get the community brought together. I'm sure every single one of you at one point in time has been to the Chasco Fiesta or knows about it, so I'll spare you the details of all of what goes on. But this year we've done something very exciting. We've brought in Ruth Eckerd Hall, and they're going to be partnering with us and putting on the Classic Rock Night. So what this has done has allowed us to bring on higher quality entertainment, because that's part of what the Chasco is about, is music appreciation, and to also bring awareness to the Native American culture and crafts and their things that they do. So again, we have about 250,000 to 300,000 people come down to the shores of the Cody River during the 9 days of the event, and again, it raises around $300,000 locally for the nonprofits. So we get a big bang for our buck, and it's the biggest event of the year. So if you're gonna be part of something and you're gonna put some sponsorship dollars or marketing dollars or advertising dollars or whatever you wanna call it, that would be the event to do it, because it's an event that lasts in people's minds for the lifetime. From when you're a child, I was born in New Port Richey, and I've lived in Port Richey most of my life. So, 46 years I've been going to the Chasco Fiesta, and I remember marching in the parade, playing in the band, being on the floats, and now I'm a spectator and now I'm part of organizing it. So I think it's something that's very worthwhile, and I would hope that you guys would consider it.
Mr. Lupo, I'd only have to ask, how much money could we consider?
There are two different issues. Excuse me. If in fact council determines that there is a necessity for this action, there are no funds available from the general funds. Again, remember, this is out of budget cycle, so there really aren't funds available from the general fund, but there could be some small amount of funds made available from the CRA, and that would require convening a CRA meeting for you to make any allocation. Again, this is an out-of-budget cycle. If this is determined to be something that council would like to be in the following budget, we can certainly put it for council's consideration in the next budget cycle. But Ms. Dermer is asking for consideration in this cycle, and the only way you can do that is once you determine that there is a rationale for our participation, is to hold a CRA meeting and then place it before the CRA committee.
Okay, if you can translate that, tell me what you want to do.
Basically, we have no money unless we use the CRA.
Correct.
And CRA could be a problematic thing, so.
Unless you want to place it for consideration in your next agenda cycle, I'll be more than happy to, next budget cycle.
Will that be in
I'll be
time?
more than happy to do it for the next budget cycle, next year, not
That
this
won't
year.
be done for this year?
No, sir.
I cannot say no to Ms. Dermer.
I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
You say you generate about $300,000.
Mhm.
Oh, where do those funds come from?
Well, so have you ever been to the Chasco?
No.
Okay, so in Sims Park, there's a bunch of vendor booths set up. And what those are, there's like the Sertoma has the big barbecue tent. And what they do is each of the individual nonprofits are set up in the park over the 9 days. And so the money goes directly to them. We don't take it and then give it to them. They raise the monies. What we do is just put on the event for them, and they come and they sell whatever they're gonna sell and raise whatever they're gonna raise. A lot of the churches, they collect money from parking. We're gonna have Park and Ride this year, so it's gonna help logistically because, like I said, bringing Ruth Eckerd Hall in, they have 250 E-Club members who receive emails and texts every week about events going on in the area. So we're trying to bring more people in from outside of Pasco County, from the Tri-County area, trying to bring it up a notch as far as class level, get different clientele in, and really highlight the wonderful things about Pasco County and Newport Richey and Port Richey. I mean, we have some of the greatest waterfront there is in the area. I mean, we've got great fishing. I filmed my TV show, I don't know if you guys ever caught it, on Insane Pools to try to highlight the city of Port Richey and the great waterfront that we offer. So this is something that, it fosters goodwill. Everybody assumes that the Chasco Fiesta is Newport Richey, and it's not. It's in the city of Port Richey too. So, and a lot of the waterfront bayou businesses, are sponsors too.
So essentially what you're saying is that the vendors that come in there, they keep 100% of the revenue.
So like the Corvette Club, they come in, they are the sponsor of the car show. So the money they raise at the car show as far as entry for that, they keep it and it goes to their charity. I believe they donate to Toys for Tots. So they each have their own, like the Sertoma is obviously the Sertoma. Chuck, maybe you can help me out on a few of it.
There's no admission fee at all?
To the Chasco? No. There's two paid things that we have, which is the country concert night and the classic rock night. So this year, I forgot to mention, Eddie Money will be the headliner for classic rock, and we're gonna have Michael Ray for the country night. And then there's the rest of the nights, there's 7 other nights of concerts in the park that are completely free. We also have a 5K run, we have a bowling tournament, we have a golf tournament, we have a hunger walk, and we are willing to do things with other people like that come in. We've talked to one vendor, Furman Auto Group. They own Harley Davidson on 54. They want to do a poker run now. So, you know, we allow them, and it has to go to a non-profit thing. So we are a 501c4 organization, so we're not for profit. So everything that we do, it does go back out into the community. And we don't collect the funds, the individual not-for-profits collect it.
Yeah, there's no question about that at all, at least not from my standpoint. I think it's a
Right.
phenomenal event. My only issue, again, is it's out of budget cycle.
And I totally understand that.
interject on that?
Sure.
One of the things that we do for our sponsors, I'm Chuck Gray, by the way.
Mr. Gray.
6328 US 19, and I'm pleased to be here, as know most of you. Is that some of our sponsors, obviously, their budgets are all different at different times. So we don't necessarily require the money prior to the end of the year. Sometimes they make payments to us during the year, over a 12-month period. As long as we know they're committed, we still give them all the sponsorship advertising. So that's something you might want to consider. In terms of the vendors, we generally take a small fee, like $250 from them, because we have to pay for all the toilets and the security and the electricity and everything that goes on there, sound, lighting, entertainers, and then we have a few for-profit vendors that pay us a higher fee. So the money that we get, we end up with very little money at the end of the year. That's always a difficult issue for us, but we start all over the following year, you know, and we make sure we have our bases covered. And we have a great time. It's a great event, and it could give Port Richey a lot of exposure that you don't have to do. I mean, it's a lot of work, and we could do that work for you. You could take part in it, and you're splashed over the whole event for 9 days. So it's a big opportunity, I think, for you, and we'd love to get Port Richey involved because we've wanted to do it for a long time, but we've never really taken the step. She's the one that was the impetus behind being here tonight, and I think it was a great thing. Appreciate that idea, and so we'd love to have you involved. And of course, you know, if you are a major sponsor, then you know you get certain benefits too.
Where does major sponsorship start?
The major sponsors we have like Publix and the hospital and the you know, we have like what, 10, I think. And they, as a major what we call gold medal sponsor, they each give us $15,000.
Okay.
They give tickets to the concerts.
And then our presenting sponsor gives us $20,000. That's
So
it. That's
15 is the
attorney's
entry
office.
level?
Entry level, it starts at $5,000.
Yeah, but you mentioned the boat parade, but that would be
Yeah.
10,000 according to your
Right, and we
sheet.
didn't want you to come in here or whatever. But I wanted you to come in where I thought it would be most relevant, which, again, starting off in Miller's Bayou, you're passing all the Bayou
Backyard.
district businesses that we're always trying to promote and have things down at Waterfront Park. So I thought it would be a great way to highlight Waterfront Park. We could get some local bands in there to play during the boat parade. You know, Whiskey Joe's is already a sponsor. Trying to talk Eric in over at
Good luck.
Guild
And you know,
Dogs.
when you're trying to promote the city, $10,000 just goes like that, you know, and then whatever you really got. We're really trying to bring these people in. That's one of the reasons we got Ruth Eckert involved. She said mistakenly that they had 250 emails. It was actually 250,000. That's their contact list. So, you know, she understated it on
Yes.
purpose.
So we have 95,000 followers on our Facebook page alone that follow the Chasco Fiesta. So with the addition of their 250,000 customers, we should be drawing a lot more people in from other areas besides here. And that'll showcase our city. We can get people moving in here, you know, get some
When is the last minute you need to know?
pretty soon, because we start doing our print stuff.
We just don't need the money right away.
We don't need it, we just need the
Right.
commitment.
How does the council feel about, we're gonna have to call a CRA meeting?
You'd have to schedule a CRA meeting for
So
the next council meeting.
We don't want to.
While you're
Keep
thinking
on
about
here
it,
tonight,
I wanna thank all the people out at where do you live? Harbor Point. For all the things they did during that fire. We gave a lot of police plaques, but we really understood all the wonderful things you did out there in harboring those people. And tell your neighbors we didn't miss it.
So
Now,
thank you
do
for
we
allowing
want
us to
to?
make the presentation, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
A little bit more info in here. And
They have
I'll follow up with you and,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Number 5.
Police impound vehicles. You don't want me to take that one?
Motion to approve impound list.
Second.
Question. I got a motion and a second. Chief, how much do we get back out of, how many vehicles we have?
I think this go-around is about 40.
40 vehicles.
Totally, I mean, I know that we're covering our expenses on it, and we're making a few dollars on it.
Okay, well, where's the list of vehicles?
Next page, you got it.
Yeah, wait. (2018), not
That's the case numbers.
40 vehicles, we're gonna get a few bucks.
The vehicles, Chief, you can speak to the condition of the vehicles?
Well, you look at some of them here, we have 1991, 1985, some of them are worth absolutely nothing, you know, so, they're gonna go for auction at the Tampa Machinery Auction, and whatever they get, we'll get something back for it. I can't tell you exactly what we'll get, it's all according to what they get at auction.
Okay.
But I know
so
that we have been covering the expenses with it.
You have what?
We have been covering our expenses.
Okay, well, the idea is to make money for the city. And since you did walk into the FDLA,
I know.
all that crap, I don't think we need to shy away from going the better route and getting our own auctioneer and things. So I got a motion and a second, just keep that in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other discussion? Public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Gave away 42 more vehicles. Request to cancel December 25th meeting. Mr. Lupo.
Simply, it falls on Christmas Day, and we request that the council consider a motion to cancel that meeting on Christmas Day.
Motion to cancel December 25th meeting, City Council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay. Don't put nay down. Yay. Site selection for dog front. The Dogfront Park. The waterfront park.
Yes, placed on the agenda is a site selection for the dog park, the Waterfront Park, for submission to FCT. City Council to discuss and approve alternative location for the dog park at Waterfront Park to be submitted to the Florida Communities Trust for the consideration and approval. City Council action is deemed appropriate. The original site was approved, but this item has been brought back at the request of Vice Mayor Rowe.
So I'll speak to that. We somewhat tabled this till our other council members returned. In looking at this site, I think we could do better. And I'm sorry Bill's not here because he would agree with me. I'm pretty sure we've had discussions on this. The fact that it's back in the corner there makes it really out of sight and out of mind. And I think the location that is location B on your map would be a better place. There's parking right there. It's visible as you come into the park. Personally, the other site has a lot of trees. I expect the dogs would be marking their spots, and I don't think it would turn out to be a very good spot to put a dog run for those reasons. parking alone, the dog run we have here, people pull right up and go right into the dog park. It's very accessible, very easy to get your dog out of the car and put him right into the run. And I think taking him all the way across the park like that, I think we could do better by putting it in location B. So I will make a motion that we, how did we term this last time? We're going to approve an alternate location and move it to location B on the map.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
may I respond to
Please.
my colleague's motion and his argument for the new site? Keep in mind, we voted to put this dog park at Site A, most north and east. I have three concerns about moving this to Site B. One is, when you pull in the waterfront park, there's a lot of parking that takes place right by that area there. So that, given the children's playgrounds and the pavilion, I think that makes that area too congested. Number one. I think there's another issue here of hygiene. Although there are facilities for people who are walking their dogs or to pick up the excrement, I venture to say it's not always gonna happen. And those kids that are gonna be playing in adjacent to that, to Site B, are not gonna have the most pleasant fragrance while they're on their swings and monkey bars. Thirdly, I have a liability issue. Not all dogs get along, and I think if there are dogs that end up fighting with one another, I think this might shock these children. It might not be something that should be seen. And I think Councilman Rowe had really summed it up when he said out of sight, out of mind. I think that's exactly what needs to take place here. That the dog run and the dog park should be kind of out of sight. It's kind of a niche of its own, and to keep it away from everything else, I think would be most beneficial if it was constructed in that one particular area. And as far as dogs marking trees, yeah, male dogs do that, but I'm sure there'll be some females there too, so we don't have to worry about them marking a tree.
Well, from a medical standpoint, urine is without bacteria.
Yeah.
It's sterile.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other thoughts?
The only thing I would want to add is I do know closer to the area of Site B is actually low, and water does accumulate along that tree line, because I walk past it all the time. And if we've got rains and high tides, we actually do have standing water along that tree line right there.
That's further back. I was out there. We have looked at this site extensively with Bill. It's one of the highest areas in the park. In fact, Dog Park A location is actually lower by far than this Dog Park B.
Could be, but I know that we don't have water standing in A.
When he's done.
'cause I've
Yeah, we
been there
wouldn't.
too.
I've been out there during the heavy
Yeah.
rains.
All right,
I thought
just
you
for a
were
second,
referring to
we
Yeah, we
did not
need
have
a
a
You
second.
need a second, yeah. I thought you were seeking an amendment for them. You need a second before discussion.
We need a second for repeat your motion, please.
You don't need, his motion is
his
to move it to
Mhm.
section B, right?
Okay. As long as everybody's aware of that, do I have a second? I think we did a lot of discussing for nothing.
We may have.
But I would, Terry, agree that the Dog A is a better place. This, that part of the park back there is sort of, has to have something in it that's not too big and not too little, and this just sort of clogs up the drain. No second, dies for lack of a second. And, oh, you can speak, like doing a eulogy.
Hello.
It's already dead.
Sandra Spalding, 8612 Green Street. I'd like to just say a couple of things about the park there. Number one, on the other side, not where you're putting it, there's less houses. Be less noise with the dogs barking and carrying on. Number two, which is a main thing that you guys are not realizing, and the police chief will say I'm right, that part where you want to put the park is utilized for parking. It holds a lot of cars when we have things going on in the park. Now, everybody complains about parking, and then you're gonna take the major part away? I lived right next door, I know, am I right? You know, you need that for parking. And they line them up. Where are you gonna park cars like that? You wanna have this parked grand. Hello?
We're gonna build a high-rise.
You better build more than a high rise, let me tell you. But seriously, parking is a problem. If you want to continue to have things going on in that park, you need to consider that. That's more important. And then there's less houses on the other side for people to be disturbed with barking and carrying on. I'll leave you with that, thank you.
And that was the item 8, huh?
Mayor. Mayor,
Yes,
may I ask a question about this?
yes, you may.
Councilman Rowe said something about talking with Bill Muse. Is there a third possibility? I mean, you know, I can see the arguments for both of these, but is there a third one?
Third location?
A third possible location?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
I'm sure there would be, but,
I didn't discuss any of that when I was out there.
I hadn't talked to him about it either, but I thought you had said that you had been out there with him and that you had investigated this, so.
yeah, I have, and Bill and I were out there together discussing both locations, and I'm sorry he's not here tonight, because I'd like to have added his voice.
The third one, that's a good thing, maybe. We can find a place that's.
I think we just found a place. This is the third time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So. I would-
Mayor?
Yes, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
We got to move it, so.